going up.
Hi, hello, and welcome all to The Flagrant Femmes, the newest, gayest podcast in the women's basketball mediascape. My name is Kenzie. I am the Aces Obsessed, very annoying on Twitter half of this podcast. And to introduce the other half, she's my long-lost best friend, annoyer of straight men and Twitter thread champion, Maddy. Maddy, what is up?
What is up, Kenzie? I'm so excited to get started on this podcast. We have been working on this for a while now, and I'm just so happy that we're finally going to get to see our vision come to life. Also, I would like to give major props to Kenzie for being the extraordinary producer half of this duo. I'm glad at least one of us has learned some real life applicable college skills, life skills in college, unlike me, who just took organic chemistry.
Well, I mean, I took a podcasting course, so I don't know if I necessarily have a lot of experience, but I did produce sporting events, which is a lot more stressful than this. So shout out Arizona State, shout out the Keys. But hopefully we'll feel like best friends to everybody that's listening as we get this thing going. But before we jump in, I just wanted to kind of say how excited I am to be a part of the growth of women's basketball and also to provide another outlet for queer representation, because like, go Queers, right?
Well, yeah, forks up and go Queers. I'm totally so excited to talk about all things basketball and queer with you.
And this is like a late addition to the script, and I just have to say it because I feel like a fraud right now. Everybody's going to see that there's literally no cord attached to this microphone. And I'm going to blame Amazon for that because they literally sent it to me. There's literally no cord in the box. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I panic ordered on Amazon. Didn't show up. It said it was going to come tonight. It said it's coming 8 in the morning, so I don't know. At least I look cool, right? I look official and I look cool, so... Without further ado, let's get into it, right?
Let's get into it.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to start it off with the W's favorite thing to do in 2024, which is dramatic Caitlin Clark discourse. Maddy, I said it earlier, we're in a chat together. We're in multiple group chats. Now we got to figure this thing out. I'm just going to play the clip. We'll diagnose it after we watch it.
Mabry doubled off to Carter. Her jumper is good. Chennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench. And Carter and Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter.
So it was a common foul in the game, like Ryan Rucco was yapping about, and the league retroactively upgraded it to a flagrant. When it happened, you and I discussed our feelings. It was very hot. It was very aggressive. But after sitting on it for a few days, how do you feel about the play now?
Honestly, at this point, I am mostly just pissed off because we're still talking about this play 3 days after it actually happened. And that has dominated the discourse when the reality is there are so many storylines from this game alone that could be talked about instead, like Camila Cardoso making her long-awaited debut, or the fact that all 5 Fever starters scored in double figures and they got their first win of the season. So the whole thing with Chennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark has been completely overdramatic, and it's really overshadowed what was honestly a really exciting game beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, not only did it overshadow the game itself and the Fever players themselves, it overshadowed things like Dearica Hamby's electric start. You really haven't heard anything about it other than in our group chats, Cam's block party, Asia's 20 and 10 streak, among other things. I mean, it overshadowed a lot. And Chennedy Gumake gave a pretty animated monologue Monday on SportsCenter with its main thesis kind of being the W. It's a physical league. It's full of competitive fire. It's full of trash talk. She can certainly articulate her point a lot better than I can, so I'm also going to roll that clip.
This is my State of the Union WNBA edition. Let's start with the play. For those who may be new to this, the WNBA has always been a physical league, full of competitive fire and trash talk. And on the full sequence of that play, Caitlin was talking. And in this league, no one backs down to trash talk. Now, I have played with Chennedy Carter, and her choice to retaliate on a non-basketball play was literally foul and something that she has struggled with her entire career. That was not okay. But one player's approach is not indicative of an entire league. All rookies, especially #1 picks, I know what it's like, have been tested mentally, physically, emotionally, from Candace Parker to Sabrina Ionescu to Kelsey Plum to Skylar Diggins-Smith. And a few days ago, Alyssa Thomas was just ejected for a hard play on Angel Reese. Plays like this happen in sports, but now it's being used to further agendas that don't serve the game. So when it comes to women's athletes, there's this expectation that players in the heat of the game should constantly stop what they're doing and be appreciative of Caitlin. They should bow down instead of being the competitors that they are. These women are elite basketball players who are competitors, who show up and show out every night before the eyes were there on the game. We all know and we appreciate the unparalleled amount of growth and attention that Caitlin, I'm her biggest fan, is driving to help become the beacon of so much interest and engagement and viewership to this game. But that narrative, that actually does a disservice to her, because the ones who grind through that type of grind become beasts. This is not hate. This is hoops, like any other sport that is professional at the highest level. And I hope people truly get to understand that.
That statement of it's not hate, it's hoops, like that, like really resonated with me. I mean, I already am in her camp anyways, but given the weight of that statement being from a champion vet like Chennedy, like how does her outlook align with your overall feelings about the physicality in the league?
You know, honestly, the level of physicality and the level of passion from the players in the WNBA is one of the things that has drawn me to the league. And I think that is a testament to the fact that it is such a small league, 12 spots. There's 140 odd players in the league right now. And not every single, because there's a few players who pretty much have their spots set, but the vast majority of these players are fighting every single day for their spot to play in the best world in the league, best league in the world, excuse me. And that really is where that passion comes from, where that physicality comes from, is exactly what Chenedy's saying. They're all competitors. And I think anybody who's trying to take away from that is in service of something that is not basketball or sport related.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's double standards literally everywhere from top to bottom, from baseball players running out of the dugout and people going nuts and hockey fights. And that's a part of that game. Why can't physicality be a part of the W anyways? As I said, the league upgraded the foul to a flagrant. I'm honestly in the camp of common foul, let the girls play, yada, yada. Do you agree with the assessment of it by the league, or do you think the officials got it right on the floor?
I think it should have been a flagrant foul in the moment because it was a dead ball situation. And, you know, you can't, it was a level of excessive. It was excessive. And so I think it should have been a flagrant for that reason. But anybody arguing for any type of punishment beyond that, ejection, suspension, I've heard all kinds of things, absurd. Absolutely absurd. People are acting like she sucker punched her. I mean, we literally just saw the clip. Yes, she hip checked her. I have literally seen harder hip checks in the produce section at Kroger. It blows my mind. Like, people are being so dramatic.
I mean, I feel like you saw a sort of similar reaction, but not on such an extreme scale with Angel Reese and Alyssa Thomas. But that was literally like WWE in the paint. Like if that happened to Caitlin, like there might have been like a storming of the Capitol again. Like
Alyssa Thomas was rightfully ejected for that, but it ended there. And you know what? Angel Reese after that game was like, it's not personal. she didn't take it to be a personal attack. And from what I saw, for the most part, her well, that's not exactly true. Some of her fans were going crazy, but it's not in the same realm of possibility as what is happening with Caitlin Clark discourse. So
yeah, there's a lot of anger, but it was definitely a lot less loaded. I'm not going to pretend like I haven't seen the highlight reels on TikTok of Caitlin exaggerating contact, but that's for another day. I guess that's the unfortunate part of growth of the league, is that the growth of discourse is coming, and we're probably not going to be in short supply of that anytime soon. So let's move on to something that cannot be argued, and that is our first conference players of the month were named on Monday. The names were unsurprising, I think. Las Vegas's Asia Wilson and Connecticut's Alyssa Thomas took home the Western and Eastern Conference awards, respectively. I'm sure you're not shocked, Maddie. They took 4 of the 8 last year, but talk to me a little bit about Asia's level of play to start the season.
Well, as you know, as a resident Aces fan here, the Aces have had a little bit of a slow start to the season. And I mean a slow start for them, being the 2-time back-to-back champs, because obviously they're still, or whatever. But Asia Wilson has not had a slow start at all. She is averaging a career high in points per game, rebounds per game, and blocks per game. And when I say career high, I'm not talking decimal points. She is blowing her previous marks out of the water in those categories. She is looking as dominant as ever. She gets better every single year. And the scariest part is I genuinely don't think she has even hit her stride yet. I don't think we've even had a real Asia game this season yet. So she is coming for her crown, and she did not forget about that 4th place vote. So
I know this is our first episode, but if this finds its way to the Aces, don't do your girl Asia dirty like that. Stop doing her dirty like that. She's got filet on the grill, and you guys are cooking hot dogs. Let's shore it up. Shore it up for your MVP. Let's close out these games. Let's figure it out. Well, we're going to move on to Alyssa Thomas. We know she's a triple-double machine, and she's only started the season with 1, but she's still racking up double-doubles. The Sun are like 9-0 at this point. They're literally just mowing through everybody. She's on pace to average a career high in assists, which is pretty interesting. And what do you think is enabling AT to dish the ball like that this year?
Well, if you want my real basketball answer, I think the Suns have excellent chemistry as a team. Their core group has been together for multiple seasons at this point, and their offensive unit runs so smoothly. They know where, especially Alyssa Thomas, who has incredible court vision. She knows where her teammates are going to be on the floor, and it doesn't hurt that her fiance is also her teammate. I think that helps a little bit. But honestly, part of me attributes it to this tweet from Dejanay Carrington, who said that Caitlin might lead the league in assists this year back in April. And Alyssa Thomas replied and said, "Don't play with me, Nay." So Dejanay, don't play with Alyssa Thomas. She's going to lead the league in assists. Book it.
I honestly had completely forgotten about that tweet. I remember it went like totally viral on W Twitter and forgot about it until you put it in our doc today. And I was just like, you may be so right. Like this could just be pure spite. And Alyssa's like, you know what? Screw it. Like I'm going to do it this year.
She's doing it.
So we are going to move on to the rookies. Let's talk rookies. We move on from the established stars of the league and let's talk about some of the new stars looking to make an impact. So Caitlin's Caitlin. Everybody has heard about her every day on every platform all the time. I think we need to talk about Rickea Jackson because she's played half the minutes Caitlin has and has half the points Caitlin has. So you do a little math there when you think about the points to minutes ratio. Is it time we talk with Kurt Miller about his rookie not seeing the floor enough?
Listen, it's Pride Month, so I'm not going to go too hard on basketball Ted Allen, but Rickea needs more minutes. Even pre-draft, many people viewed Rickea as the most pro-ready rookie, and we've seen that play out in real time. She comes in off the bench or as a starter, it is immediate impact on both ends of the floor. She plays defense. She can get to her spots pretty much from 3 levels. She can get to the hoop. She can pull up. I don't know what Kurt's holdup is, but he needs to figure it out quickly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because when the Sparks were in Vegas a few weeks ago, she was just like straight hooping. And that's the only straight thing we're going to allow on this podcast is straight hooping. But the Sparks were in a lull and the Aces were kind of pushing their way back in it. It was like the second quarter. She came out and hit like 3 buckets in a row. It was completely unfazed. It was the first time she checked into the game, and then hardly saw the floor the rest of the game. And the Aces went on to win it. So I don't really know what to do with that.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on there. I know she's had some foul trouble at some point, but at some point Kurt needs to, and this goes for Cambrick too, at some point Kurt just needs to let that girl use all her fouls. Like, the Sparks are tanking for Paige anyways. She needs to be in the starting lineup full time, and she needs to play at the 3 where she belongs. Those are your criteria, Kurt, and whatever else. Like, I don't know what the Sparks are doing beyond that. Like, what Dearica Hamby is giving them is great, but you got Rakia and Cam for a reason. So let's work on them. Like,
just start building around your young stars. If they don't get Paige, then Kurt Miller is gonna wind up being another Derek Fisher. It's gonna be a whole situation, and we don't really need that again. But in keeping with the overlooked theme, talk about a couple of rookies who have impressed you so far, who aren't really in the spotlight, like a Clark or Reese or Brink.
First of all, Aaliyah Edwards showed up and showed out today in front of her teammates in Connecticut. Mystics are still 0-9, but love what I'm seeing from her. Our girl Alyssa Peely with the Lynx, love her, love everything about her. And we can't forget the glue, Kate Martin. Also, I just saw a video earlier of the Aces leaving her behind on the bus, which is hilarious. And I still can't believe that the Aces snagged her right out of the audience, too.
I don't know why, but Kate does feel like somebody that would get left behind on a road trip for some reason. I don't know why. It's just part of her aura that I'm seeing, but I'm genuinely having the time of my life watching Kate in Vegas. Like, the crowd last year and the year before, the crowd would get loud when Sid would come in, but like, Kate gets a standing ovation. Like, people will stand up and be so loud every time she checks in. And it's really incredible how the city and the team have embraced her, but really not as quite as impressive as her immediate impact on defense for the Aces. Like, it's unbelievable. All right, well, the temperature is heating up, and it's not just because of summer. That's a really bad joke, but I liked it, so I left it in. The Connecticut Sun, we talked about them a little bit earlier. They're playing unreal basketball. I think if you would have asked me preseason, I would have thought the Aces and Sun would have had kind of the same starts they're currently having. I thought the Aces would have come out really hot. The Sun would have taken a minute to kind of figured it out, but I kind of need the full Maddy read on this. Like, what's going on with the Sun? What's gotten into them?
Well, Alyssa Thomas picked up right where she left off last season as an MVP candidate. Dewana Bonner is somehow aging in reverse. Dejanay and Ty Harris have taken big steps forward. They look great. And Bree Jones, returning from injury, has really rounded out their starting lineup. So honestly, everybody is trending up in Connecticut Sun world right now.
So when we talk about how hot they are, is this level of play sustainable? I mean, we know WNBA has gotten a lot better. The Aces have fallen victim to that. And they've looked incredible over their first 9 games, more so than the Liberty or the Aces, who are off to slower starts.
So I feel kind of conflicted about this because on the one hand, they're 9-0. There haven't been all that many teams in WNBA history who have started the season 9-0. So I have to give them props for that. However, if I wanted to be a little bit cynical, I would say 6 of those games were against the Fever twice, the Mystics twice, the Sky, and the Mercury. So not that necessarily means anything, or that point differential means anything, but 2 of their games against better competition, quote unquote. They eked out a win against the Lynx in overtime, 83-82. And they beat the Wings basically because Enrique couldn't hit a shot, 74-72. So I've been really impressed with them, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to need them to go up against the Liberty and the Aces before I can really make like a full judgment of them.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I feel like in my early doom and gloom after the Aces lost to Phoenix, I was like, this season's over, they're done. And then the Lynx started out pretty well, and then the Aces went to Minneapolis and handled it pretty well, aside from one weird little scare at the end. But I feel like I catch a lot of flack in the group chat for having so much belief in the Sun. I mean, like we've said, they look improved, especially with how well Dejanay's been playing and who might be in line for a Most Improved Player award. I said Dana Evans in the preseason, but I think D is pretty much leading her stat for stat across the board. So that's someone I'm keeping an eye on. All right, so we deserve to have a little bit of fun, I think, in my opinion, after the discourse and how crazy it's been. And we are going to play a little game called No Look Rankings. So what we are going to do is we're going to have we're going to have 5 things. I'm just already going in circles. I'm so excited to do this right now. In light of the physicality discourse around the W, I'm going to give Maddy 5 different scuffles and or incidents, and she's going to blind rank them 1 to 5. I am so excited to do this right now, like genuinely. Maddy,
Yeah,
are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. So your first scuffle is going to be Kalia Copper getting in Sophie Cunningham's face in the 2021 W Finals. It was pretty electric when it happened. I thought Sophie was finally going to get hers.
Oh, so good.
It's tough because that one feels like it could be way up there, but there's still 4 more you got to go through.
I'm going to say 3.
I like that. That's the approach I always take with these. I'm like, I'm just going to put it in the middle and then I won't feel bad. All right. Your second scuffle. Candace and Lynette Pearson, the Malice at the Palace 2.0 back in 2008. Probably one of the most famous or infamous, if you want to call it, scuffles in the W.
Man, that one's kind of sad because one of those players, Cheryl Ford, tore her ACL in that one.
Yeah, she did.
So I'm gonna put that one at 5.
I like that.
I saw a tweet and somebody was saying that like low-key ended her career. So
I did see that today. It also draws parallels to how Caitlin's kind of getting roughed up, considering how rough they were with Candace back then.
Yep.
All right, number 3.
I mean, really rough.
Yeah. Diana Taurasi's kiss on Simone Augustus back in 2013.
You knew I was going to rank that number 1. It's
I figured.
Month, baby. It's Pride Month, baby. Love is love. Love is love.
You got the Mercury jersey on. You're fully committed to it. I like it.
Also, they played AAU together, so they knew each other for like 20 years when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, what's a kiss with a friend?
I thought it was cute.
Wow.
I always think that's one of my favorite moments. I love that.
Yeah, there should be more kissing in sports. Like,
warms my heart. Absolutely, there should be
men wake up. You can kiss.
Yeah, it's like not a big deal.
All right, we'll move on to number 4. This is not really that much of a deep cut, but it was recent. It's Maisha Hines-Allen stepping over Sophie Cunningham after knocking her down back in 2022, shooting a 3.
Ooh,
I again thought that Sophie was going to get hers. It just never comes.
But now I have to, because now what is you going to give me for the last one? Shit.
And what do you have left?
I
2 and 4?
5. Oh wait, what do I have?
I think you put the Candace and Planette fight at 5. So I think you have 2 and 4.
Okay, I have 2 and 4. Oh, that's great. Okay. 4.
All right, so that leaves you with 2. Asia Wilson being held back after Kayla Thornton's hard foul.
Yes. That's
I'm pretty
perfect.
sure I was halfway down the stairs and was ready to get into it. I was ready to go to jail for Asia that night. I think half the crowd was, honestly.
I remember that moment so vividly. I just remember Becky literally before Asia was even up, Becky was on the court, like holding her back. That's one of my favorite all-time moments too. That's great.
I think you could the photos of it are so funny to just
The
see it
photos
from
are
different
so
angles
funny.
and see who's doing what. And like AC looked very concerned. Chelsea Gray was having the time of her life. Like,
she's got one shoe, so she's
yeah,
standing there like just.
that's
And the
probably
fact
one of
that
my most.
everybody knew immediately,
Oh yeah.
off rip, immediately, everyone's like, "Oh no, this is about."
Well, that was in that stretch where they played the Liberty and the Aces played like 100 times, and that was the last, I think, the third of the 3 matchups they played that week. And I think Asia was just like at her wits' end after they lost in New York and they lost the Commissioner's Cup.
I'm not even an Aces nor Liberty fan, although I'm like more Aces than Liberty fan. But I'm not. I don't have a dog in this fight, and I was like ready to rough Capricorn up. So
yep, it was great. All right, in keeping with the fun, we've made it our weekly goal to each find the worst women's basketball take that we saw on Twitter and put it on blast here on the pod. It is officially Wet Blanket of the Week time.
Hey, anyone want to buy a wet blanket? We got a wet blanket for sale.
All right, Maddie, I am going to let you get us started with your Wet Blanket of the Week. It was a quote tweet from, trying to not put everyone on blast here, but I mean, these guys are a big account, so like it's.
Yeah, this is a big account. Oh, dear Jesus. This is from feedfinder.com.
It's been 4 weeks.
Well, the original tweet is from Red Bull Racing F1 fan account, and I don't care about saying their name because obvious reasons. No fan shit. That's a Kendrick Lamar reference, but a best feet contest during WNBA All-Star Weekend would be fire. And then Feet Finder quoted it and said, "We're ready to offer $5 million to sponsor this idea." Which, first of all, put up or shut up. So
True.
I'd like to see it. And second of all, you're nasty and you're going to jail. Like, disgusting.
It's been 4 weeks and we're already talking about a feet contest. Like there's nothing else that interests you. You can go look at feet anywhere. You don't have to put our girls on blast for it. Like,
yeah, we've been in the male gaze like for how long? And this is where we've already reached. Like, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, so that was probably the weirdest among the weird this past week. I will move on to mine, which is a little more just men being dumb. That's might as well be the name of the segment. I saw this quote tweeted on my timeline because I am mutuals with somebody who works in social media for the Sky, and he was all over it. But this guy said the Sky had the chance to gain some real traction in fandom here in Chicago, especially in light of the struggles from the other pro teams in the city. They've blown every early opportunity to cash in and have quickly become an unlikable team already getting booed at home games. Have you watched a single Chicago Sky home game? First off, they're packed to the brim. It hasn't been that live in there since the finals back in 2021. These people in Chicago are pumped for Angel and Camilla and this whole team that's kind of like on a little bit of a resurgence when we didn't think they were going to be that good. But like, are you serious? Booing them?
This guy literally has to live under a rock because I have seen people on my timeline who live in Chicago who are literally out in public and people are talking about Angel Reese, like random people, like people at the deli and people at the nail salon, like literally just being like, "Oh my God, Angel Reese," like whatever. Angel Reese is the moment in Chicago. Like, the Sky are the moment in Chicago. The Bulls aren't doing shit. Nobody else in Chicago, the the Sky are very beloved in Chicago. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, I won't necessarily put him on blast because I don't want that smoke. You know me, I don't like the smoke. But when I looked at his bio, it did say something about being a Chicago media person. So maybe you're just not very good at your job, if that's what you're saying. Anywho, we'll be bashing men pretty often on here. So if you're a man and you're an ally, I'm sorry, but your kind is just gonna have to get it.
And now the Sparks going to try to run. Cook gets it swatted out of play by Asia Wilson, and Cook says, really?
All right, that video means it's officially time for the chase down. Asia Wilson's chasing people down all the time. Basically, the gist of this is that we're going to have 30 seconds to rapid fire takes. We'll have 5 topics each. We'll be passing them back and forth like ping pong before time is up. If you hear the buzzer, you've hit the time limit. I am going to try not to be mean and hit the buzzer, but I might do it just because it's fun. All right, Maddie, the timer's ready. I need you to talk to me about Sweatgate in Seattle with Mercedes Russell moving Nika Mule's hand off her leg. And go.
Okay, I blame all the self-proclaimed body language experts online for this one. She clearly is just moving Nika's hand so she can wipe down her entire leg with the towel. The narrative that WNBA players don't like rookies or are genuinely out to get them is ridiculous. And frankly, I feel like it goes directly back to the idea that women are catty and jealous, which is boring and 1950s. Anyways, as the resident Aces stand, what gives with their early struggles this season?
I have to start the timer. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, I think a lot of it revolves around defense and communication. You're leading the league in points per game, which is awesome, especially without Chelsea Gray. But I feel like her missing presence is disrupting the Aces' ability to defend and communicate. The rotations are getting a little better, but it's really not great when a rookie has to come in and provide a defensive spark. With what am I even talking about? We saw the Fever's head coach and GM both on Twitter complaining about officiating, which is something we have not seen very often from coaches and GMs on Twitter. That feels bad, Maddie.
Yeah, it is absolutely bad. And it's honestly embarrassing on their part, especially considering the way Aaliyah Boston was treated last season. And as far as I know, they never defended her like this. So I'll give Christy Sides a little bit more leeway just because her job has been on the line and she's closer to the situation, like on the court, you know what I mean? But you absolutely cannot have this from Linda. I think these comments are just honestly fanning the flames for everything that went down. And that's leading to some of these other events that took place this week, which I'm not saying it's like her fault directly, but she's definitely not doing anything to keep her home.
I had to get you there. We were like pushing 50 seconds. I was enjoying what you were saying, though.
No, sorry, that's my bad. Okay, what do you make of Angel Reese defending Chennedy Carter to a reporter on Monday?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that Angel Reese might be the most like pro-ready prospect overall. And that's kind of saying on the court and off the court. Like, I didn't think that initially. But I think a lot of it has to do with her off-the-court leadership. She's vocal about her teammates. She's vocal about league issues with the media and on socials. And I love that she clapped back at that reporter and told him to watch the games, that she was getting body slammed too, that the physicality is league-wide. So nice, Angel. Keep it up. Keep putting the pressure on. Did you see Monica McNutt put Stephen A. Smith in his place on First Take?
You already know if there's a woman putting a man in his place, I will be there. And boy, did Monica deliver. She had him short-circuiting when she reminded him that he hasn't used his platform to highlight women's basketball the way that he could have. And the way he reacted to that and his podcast response later on tells you everything you need to know about how he really feels about women and women's sports. Speaking of men who are constantly yapping about lowering their rims, why was there a goaltend last Sunday?
Well, if anyone in this league was going to get called for a goaltend, of course it was Diana Taurasi. Not Brittany Griner, not Jonquil Jones, not some of the tallest people in this league. It's Diana Taurasi. who needs to lower the rims when DT can just stand under there and put her hand through the hoop and push the ball back out. It's actually a really funny clip. I would 100% suggest people go and watch it because it's like a 100% classic Diana Taurasi antic. So, Caitlin Clark, she is known for her 3-ball. Why is she shooting from outer space, Maddie?
Listen, 62% of Caitlin's shots this season have been from 24 feet or farther. So she is really shooting from out there, and she's shooting just 30% on those shots. So while her range is obviously extremely impressive and it's a valuable staple of her game, she's definitely going to have to develop some semblance of mid-range game if she hopes to actually develop into an elite scorer at the pro level. Speaking of elite scorers, let's talk about elite assist duos. AT and Dawana have 27 assists, Jackie and Asia 25, Sabrina and Jonquel 23. Which top assist duo are you taking?
This is tough because I'm a hometown girl and I am inclined to take Jackie and Asia, but A, Chelsea is probably going to come back at some point, and B, we've already talked about Dejanay's tweet firing Alyssa Thomas up. Jack will go back to straight hooping, so I think those assists are going to taper off a little bit. I'm going to have to go with the fiancés. Give me Alyssa Thomas and Dawana Bonner. De'Erica Hamby, she is playing a level of basketball I don't think any of us have ever seen her play. Is she in the MVP race?
You know, I think she definitely belongs in that conversation at the moment. Her and Asia Wilson are the only players who are currently top 5 in both points per game and rebounds per game. She's also averaging nearly 37 minutes per game, which is a full 10 minutes per game higher than her previous career high. At 30 years old and a mother of 2, her conditioning and performance has been on another level this season. She is really reaching new heights in LA. Now, somehow the Aces convinced Tip Hayes to come out of retirement, and 3 days in, she's already bringing gifts. Are you kidding me?
I mean, if you're not on the Aces, it's a bummer.
Ooh, that's a bummer.
I would literally give anything to be, it's like the sound club. I would literally give anything to be on the Aces. Like, it feels like every week somebody is just like rolling in with something. Like Asia had the personalized boom boxes and everybody was like rocking out. And then like the Las Vegas Convention Bureau is giving them 100K. And now like Tip Hayes is on the job for a handful of days, like a business day. And she's already coming in with headphones. Like, it's a pretty smart way to endear yourself to a team who's probably going to love you down regardless, but still pretty cool of her to do. So we did it. That was pretty smooth, pretty great. Only one buzzer. And I felt really, really bad doing it. But it's a fun noise, so I kind of
No, I knew that was coming. I was like, I'm definitely going over, but...
Well, at least you'll give us something to buzz if, you know. It's no fun if nobody goes over the time.
No, yeah, right. That's how it goes, yeah.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for our very first, very special episode of The Flagrant Femmes. We're going to have a lot more discourse to look forward to. But Maddie, did you have any parting thoughts? Anything you're looking forward to? Any games, any matchups? What's going on?
Well, I just wanted to say, first of all, I'm still on a high from the Skylar Diggins-Smith revenge game that just took place. I don't want to talk about her field goal percentage, but we can talk about everything else because
doesn't matter. They won. It's all good.
And she deserved everything that she got, which is a great place in Seattle. So I love that.
Definitely.
And the Angel Reese ejection. Boo, garbage. Throw that out.
Oh yeah, I wish that we would have planned this a day out because we would be all over that. We're probably still going to be all over that next week. So let's not kid ourselves.
Because I know the media cycle is going to be a disaster tomorrow, regardless. So
I've seen numerous players across this league waving their hands at officials and cussing. Kelsey Plum does it all the time. Marina Mabry does it all the time.
Caitlin Clark literally yelled in a ref space like last week, call the fucking foul.
I literally watched Maisha Hines-Allen do something that I literally have watched Caitlin Clark do. say something to the ref after a foul, do the waving arm, and was teed up. Misha Allen was teed up. Caitlin got like 20 chances before finally being teed up the other night. So I don't know. That's frustrating, but I'm sure we're going to get into that at some point because, like you said, the media cycle is going to be loving the text and the discourse that comes behind it.
Absolutely.
Me personally, I am looking forward to joining the Aces on back-to-back road trips. I will see them in LA on Sunday against the Sparks with Danny, a friend of the pod, and then I will be seeing the Aces play at the Mercury with you next week in Phoenix. So I'm stoked to hang out with you. I'm stoked to see the game presentation in Phoenix because it's my favorite in the league. It's so hype. And I'm stoked to see the Sparks at Staples, Crypto, whatever you want to call it. Never going to call it Crypto. It's just
Staples.
Doesn't feel natural. It is Staples. Anyways, I guess that's it for us. We will catch y'all on Twitter. We're at Flagrant Femmes if you aren't following, and we'll see you next week.
Going up.